And we're live. Welcome to a special match day edition of We Are Seek and Strike podcast. I'm Chris Walker, and with me, as always, is Alicia. Alicia, how you doing today? This morning,
I'm
I guess.
doing. I'm excited. It's match day. What about you?
Hey, I'm pretty excited actually. It seems like there's just so much going on today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, what are some things you've already gotten into, or some things that you're looking forward to today?
Well, today I guess just hanging out with family, watching the game, and that's pretty much it. Since we can't really go out, just stay inside.
Yeah, I'm struggling with lighting here, but that's going to be like my struggle all day, I bet. Anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to definitely watching the match. I've got a few things to kind of get done prior to that. But yeah, I definitely echo the sentiment with you. Just as far as match day and being able to watch with people, and you know, I mean, gosh, what was it like? Like some 6 weeks ago, we didn't even know when we were going to get to watch a match. So
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird thing to deal with because we weren't sure if we were gonna even get a season this year. So
right, exactly. Before we get started, we do want to wish a happy wedding day to our other writer, Josh Kaskanen, who's going to be tying the knot. I guess sometime today, this afternoon. So we just definitely want to wish him a happy day. Congrats to you and your beautiful fiance, and we'll be happy for you to join us back soon. But take your time.
yeah, definitely. Congratulations, Josh.
Right on. So where do you want to kick off, Alicia?
Just a quick recap of what happened in El Paso the second time around.
Okay. So why don't you kick us off?
So we ended with a 2-1 win, and I can say that we definitely played a lot better this second time around. I felt like the guys were more woken up, and they actually kind of accommodated themselves to how El Paso plays compared to the first time, which I was really happy about that. They weren't spreading out as much, and we had so many opportunities this time around.
Yeah, I mean, El Paso kind of came out. Um, Seemed like they came out differently that first 15 minutes, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
seemed like they kind of applied a little bit more pressure than maybe we saw the first time. I had to go back and look at the playback because I wasn't sure if United came out with the same pressure or if we were kind of a little slower out, but it seemed like we still kind of gave them the same high pressure.
Yeah, we did, and so early in the game, we had a possession. We were in their defensive third, so it really worked out the second time around.
Right, yeah. And there was, I mean, it seemed like in the first half, the one thing is that El Paso had so many chances. I know Omar Salgado, it seemed like his name was getting called so many times during the broadcast, and it didn't seem like, we could figure out a way to really address how much he was getting the ball because he was getting it both on the left and right side, really testing out Suggs and Ryden and also Yearwood and Mohammed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you can tell Salgado is a huge dude, so he has an advantage with the height when it comes to the corner kicks or the free kicks, and the way he was trying to work around our defense because he probably was like, if they're gonna be like last time, I'm gonna see if I can work my way around them and to walk away with 3 points on the table.
Yeah, now something that that I was thinking about after the fact is that El Paso is like really one of those teams that they really rely heavily on the cross. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there aren't a lot of teams in the USL that I think really rely heavily on that, but they really do, whether it's on the ground or whether it's in the air. And, some of the numbers that were coming out after the first match where that El Paso had 27 crosses in the first match to our 9 crosses, and of course New Mexico is not really a big crossing team. So right then and there, I thought, wow, okay, like here's a squad that, definitely relied heavily more on the cross, like 3 times what we were even doing. And we only stepped into that, just because the opportunities were there.
Yeah, that's what you see with El Paso. It's they'll pass, and then they'll take it up to the side, or they might even go a little bit towards the middle, and they'll cross, and they'll cross. If you start to heavily rely on that, teams are going to start predicting you, and that is just going to get shut down. And then you're going to have to work a way around that. And maybe it might not be your strongest suit when you're not crossing. And it's just, I don't think it's really smart for a Paso to keep doing that every game because they're starting to become predictable.
Well, and you mentioned predictability, which is something. I was looking at some of the uh, quotes that the El Paso media team had sent me prior to the second match, and one of the things was that their coach Mark Lowry was talking about the fact that New Mexico really did have him guessing in the first match, just because of the fact that they watched the Colorado Springs match and they figured that the same system was coming to El Paso, but then, of course, Troy Lassane changed up the system the first time. So he says, well, we actually didn't know what was happening because of the fact that it was a different system. So he had to give him credit. He felt like he had more information the second time around, but I can tell you after watching the media clips for El Paso after the second match, Lowry was still kind of beside himself. He was like, well, we're still the better team. Like, we were the better team. We destroyed them. And so I had to go back and really watch the match to see, like, okay, well, where does that show? And I guess I did see how in the first half El Paso was very aggressive with opportunities, for the most part. But things did change once Brian Rabian went down. I mean, things definitely did change there, and they even felt that was like a shift in their momentum as well.
Yeah, there was some parts of the game where El Paso did have uh did have me worried because in their inaugural season they were the only inaugural team to make it so far into playoffs and in the West Conference final, and it just with them losing key players, I think that's what's hurting them this season. Like Heath Sweater, he left.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of their main players they relied on so much, and I can see why their coach is like, we were the stronger team, we were the stronger team, but in the end, if they were saying that they were trying to guess what we were doing, it shows that they came
Mm-hmm.
in not prepared for the game.
Yeah, well, and I mean, anytime we got to play a team 4 times, which is obviously this is the first time, right? I mean, that this is happening. I mean, even our squad has got to be unpredictable, and one of the things I had asked Troy in this press conference this week was, how are you going to, keep yourself from being like, how are you going to, I guess, basically not replicate your thing, your tactic, for teams you have to play 4 times. And for the most part, he just said that that's definitely a detail that's in the making, and that that's something that they are giving detail to, that they have to make sure they're always kind of changing it up. And I mean, look at even the back line. I mean, the back line, we have been able to put together so many different combinations of the back line, or how the attack transition has worked. And I mean, by the time we play El Paso again, I mean, we should have our full back line, what I mean, like intact at this point.
And see, when we see El Paso again, I'm I'm worried about them because they're gonna have the FC Juarez players in there, and I
Mm-hmm.
know for a fact that forward, which I believe is Carijo, he is dangerous, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have to really watch that in the back line.
Well, I wonder then if they will kind of shift out of a 4-4-2 diamond into something a little bit more complementary to kind of bring more numbers forward. Maybe we'll see like a different formation with that.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess kind of moving in, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the goals. I feel like we got to give those some justice, especially since, you know, I mean, you know, they looked great, right? So let's talk about that first one. I mean, Chris Wehan's goal um, from a free kick set piece, if you will, from the one and only Josh Suggs, his first one back from being out all season. What do you like about that that display right there?
It like I personally liked it because Josh Suggs, he read it right. He crossed it in sort of to the middle, but Devin wasn't. I believe it was Devin wasn't greedy about it, and he headed it to Wehan, and Wehan just puts it in the net. And I really like how he looks to see if anyone's open or has a better opportunity than him, because we know with how high that ball was coming, I was expecting for Devin to do a bicycle kick.
Yeah, I mean, we have definitely seen that in the weeks. One of the things that Josh Suggs said in this week's press conference, I'm sure you already had listened to the file, but Suggs was saying that he actually wasn't very sure that he wanted to take that set piece. He was saying it was his first one back, since he's been gone, and he was actually wanting to maybe give that to Chris Wehan. So I thought it was very interesting that if Chris Wehan would have taken that, there may not have been that potential goal scorer on the end. So it was great that Suggs basically trusted his coaches in that moment, and that's really something that you got to think about, like that the course of that match would have been different had he not had a little bit of confidence in himself there.
Yeah, it definitely would have. We probably would have ended up in a draw again.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, there were other opportunities, though. I mean, even prior to that, Devin Sandoval had that diving torpedo header. Of course, he's had some opportunities getting in there. I mean, one of the stats for United has been offside calls. So obviously, you can look at that a couple different ways. I guess if you're a fan, one way you can look at that is that that the high number seems out of control. But the way I look at that is the team is definitely showing thirst, if you will. There are opportunities that are being created. Obviously, we worried about chance creation last year. That became kind of a magic word for us: chance creation, chance creation. But I mean, the chances are there. It's just about really kind of staying within the back line and just playing it just right. And I think they're getting better at that for sure. I mean, to be scoring 2 goals in most matches, right? So
Yeah, they definitely are getting better at that, and I hope for today's match they don't lose that energy and tend to play down, because I know last season when it came to certain teams, they would kind of play down to their level,
mhm.
and it would hurt us, and it would end up in a draw, which we didn't want.
Yeah, that is something you bring up. Is like, will we ever see our team play at like a high level to where it doesn't really matter who's on the other side of the pitch, that they're just kind of playing to win? Or will we always kind of see a team that definitely fluctuates on how much energy they need to put in based on what the opponent's showing? I mean, either way obviously seems like it would be sound, I guess, in my mind, to think that we could do either one, but there are some teams that definitely go out there to play to win, right?
Yeah, like last season, Phoenix, they had that 20 some game streak that they hadn't lost. So,
Right.
and they played everyone like they didn't see who it was. They just played and played and played. And that's what we need to do, because if you look at games from last season, the way we played against Phoenix does not compare the way we would play against Colorado Springs or Las
Mhm.
Vegas Lights. Those levels, Phoenix, when we played Phoenix, our level was up here. When we played the bottom table teams, we were down here. And to me, that's just not acceptable. You have to play like, if it helps them, like play if they're gonna play Phoenix every single game.
That's it. You heard it here first. Alicia is saying you guys got to come out and put up 3 goals, like right off the bat, and just just play lights out. Like don't what does David Carl say? He always says that New Mexico has a flair for the dramatic. That the finishes are always very epic. There's always something that you can look forward to, and I'm sure it would make everyone feel a little comfortable if the boys could go out and just go ahead and put 3 back in the top of the match, and then just kind of close it out. So hopefully, maybe we'll get to something like that. Right now, the team is obviously, since the restart, scoring 2 goals in every match, and they're only allowing 1.3 is what the number is. So I mean, can we eventually kind of see some clean sheets and kind of change that goals against average to something where we're not always having to throw a prediction of 1 goal for the other team?
Yeah.
So then let's move on a little bit more. So then a little bit further up, Sandoval, obviously, it makes sense that, this Jan is like man of the match when you consider then at the 49th minute, right? So somewhere into added extra time, he basically gets a through pass from Amando Moreno that, of course, to start with, was a pass intercepted by Bees, right? And I mean, again, like, look at the way Wehan is playing. I mean, like, he intercepted a pass, turned it around with control, gave it to Amando. Amando feeds it in to Sandoval, and Sandoval takes the shot uneven, like probably off of a gallop, as Jerome is coming in, trying to, if anything, just be a distraction, right? Because he's obviously doesn't know where he's at that point. Sandoval takes a shot. Ketterer's on the top of his box, can't lean enough. Goal goes in. Second goal. Sandoval, second goal of the season. What is your reaction to that goal? And of course, that goal became goal of the week.
Yeah, it did. And I was excited about that. We had Devin Sandoval and Amando Moreno made team of the week. And then I'm sure we'll get to this. Cody got save of the week, and Devin also got goal of the week. So we took a clean sweep this week with all 3 of them. But when Devin scored, it looked like I was shocked because I didn't think it was going to go in, because the way he kicked the ball, if you see the ball, it like bounced kind of awkwardly. So when you do that, it's kind of like you can't really predict where it's going to go. So that why I was a bit like, whoa, that really went in. And I mean, he read it right, going one-on-one with the goalie. And he did really, really well, because from what I remember, when I was looking at the other players, it didn't look like anyone else was open, so he just went for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the shooter's mentality. I mean, I'm glad he just took the shot, because, if you look at our goals, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit more when we get into OKC, but if you look at our goals as far as the assist on the goals, we've only had 3 assists for the 5 goals, or for the 6 goals that we've shot. So, I mean, a lot of the goals are straight up just our guys are just taking the shots, right? There's not as much of this sort of cohesion of another player assisting. Of course, you want to see that, though, because then that means that there are more people that are at play, in the ultimate scheme of things. But only 3 assists. So Sandoval takes a shot. He makes it. Wehan comes over, gives him that initial like celebration, if you will, and then, man, this thing's killing me. And he gives him that initial celebration, and then after that, Sandoval's like, "Yo, Moreno, come over here and get your hug," and then they're in full embrace. And I remember thinking to myself, Amondo's got to be like very happy that something he did right there led to a goal, because if you watch Amando Moreno in every match that we can go back and watch, Moreno is like literally got to be like a perfectionist. He he gets down on himself for every single thing that doesn't go exactly right. If he missed a pass or he wasn't timed correctly, you just see him kind of go, and so for him to like hook up with Devin and Devin sinks that, and then you see Moreno's face, it's like, yeah, we want more of that. And I truly believe that like we're not too far off of like Armando like getting his own. In fact, in the press conference, Wehan was saying that he believes that some of the new players are in fact on their way to scoring. He just says they just got to keep trying, keep trying. It's going to be there. And gosh, I remember the same thing to be true for like Wehan and Devin Sandoval last year.
Yeah, I remember that too. But when it comes to the new players, I definitely see them scoring here soon. Especially like it's not really weird, but I like truly believe it. Like I see Kalen scoring here soon because right off of the bat, he gave us 100% energy and he has not played down to anybody. And I really like that about him. I like his attitude. I like the way he goes out on the field and he does it for the team. He does it for the state and I really like him as a defender and player and with the way his attitude goes and when we interviewed him, it seems like he's a really great person.
Well, and speaking of Kalen Ryden, going back home today
Mm-hmm.
to Oklahoma, right? The club that turned him pro, OKC Energy. I mean, as we're going to get into that in a little bit, but he'll be home. And I thought about that. The coach of OKC Energy, has been kind of to all the same places that Ryden's been to, not at the same times per se. But Ryden's going home, so he's going to be there. He's going to be able to put on for his hometown a little bit. So that it will be interesting, for sure. As you mentioned, the interview we had with him earlier this year during the beginning of COVID is like, this is when we learned that Ryden was a forward. Ryden
Mm-hmm.
played the top of the pitch. That was his position. And slowly but surely over the years, he transitioned into the center back. And so that explains the genesis of how he's able to go all the way up the pitch and be an attacking player as well, is because he was once a forward.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking to hear that because I personally can see Kalen as a forward, but now like I'm very curious to see how he would do as a forward, and I was kind of hoping to see that in the inter squad match when it was just a friendly.
Right on. Want to give a shout out to Tyler Ortega. Thanks for joining us and leaving that comment. We appreciate you, my dude. We can't wait to hear you on the broadcast in just a little while. Make sure you drink some honey and get that voice nice and perked. So then, going on, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in this match? You mentioned Cody Mizell with obviously 2 killer saves. One gets him save of the week. Gosh, like, talk about a guy that gets up. Like, he has got some hops.
Jeez, I know, and he's a great goalie. And when those saves happen, like I was like, "What? Seriously?" Like it was literally by an inch. If he would have missed that, that was going in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I asked Cody, I said, this week, I asked him, you know, how do you how do you set up for so many player shot profiles? And he says, obviously he watches game film, to kind of get prepared, but he doesn't overstudy the game film because, he could be planning for one particular scenario, and then as it was, we give up, a foul in the box, and there's a guy setting up for a PK. And if he spent more time focusing on crosses and things like that, but the shot that he's got to defend as a PK, it's you know he can't. He was just saying that would kind of seem to be kind of a waste of time, so to say. So I just think it's compelling to ask a goalkeeper like, hey, how do you prepare for so many different guys with the boot? Because I mean, everyone shoots so differently.
Yeah, it's hard being goalie. I feel like that's one of the toughest positions to ever play because if you get in your head so much, it's just gonna really affect you because you feel like because a goal went in, the whole game is on you. So the way he keeps his attitude up all the time, I really admire that. And also overseeing the game film and watching other players play, it can get a bit overwhelming because when it comes to it and you're standing in front of the net and you have forward going against you one on one, it gets so unpredictable. So you just have to go for it, and at that point it's just the gut feeling and just going for it.
Yeah, exactly. So in the second half, we see Sammy Sergi come in. We haven't seen him in a little while. Um, were you excited to see Sergi come in and get some minutes?
Yeah, I was excited since I didn't get to see him. I believe it was the last El Paso match, and I was kind of waiting for him because I know as him being a rookie and also one of the new guys, I feel like he has so much potential to be putting goals up there for us, and he
Yeah,
just needs that time and minutes to be able to, kind of get the nerves out and have that confidence to just uh, take shots.
yeah. I mean, definitely with that one. Um, you know, if you think about it, I mean, earlier on things are going well, so we definitely can't. We definitely got to be happy about our veterans. I just know that as soon as guys like Sergei Moreno and even Parks, for that matter, turn up, you know, it's going to be something just with like fast momentum. And I mean, we can't go too long without talking about Parks. I mean, Parks was epic in this match because of his ball handling skills. I mean, his ability to take on two or three players. Such a different role. I mean, I know that we keep hearing different folks, or we all kind of have this curiosity of, when are we going to see this striker as Romeo Parks, and everyone's obviously waiting for those backflips. But I think what we're seeing is we're seeing some versatility. I mean, we know he can play striker, we know he can play winger, and I mean, Troy likes a guy, or is liking the guys that are able to step up and play, a variety of positions. And I think that, I'm hoping that the narrative, really amongst the fan base can change, because you need a guy with body who can like get in there and ultimately kind of make some opportunities happen for the team.
Yeah, you really do. And uh, compared to this time, playing on the wing and to when he played on the wing versus Austin Bold, it he was doing a lot better this time around, and I felt more comfortable with him playing on the wing. And maybe that's going to be his starting position from now on.
Right. Yeah, definitely going to be easier to predict kind of where I thought he was going to be at. Um, so then, of course, we can't go too far without talking about this. And in fact, I'm sure you maybe, I think I sent you the meme at some point, but so Daniel Bruce is in the box, and he's got the dribble, and Chiro and Toko, you know, kind of sets it up. Chiro and Toko puts his hands behind his back, to make sure that he doesn't, maybe I wonder if he was trying not to get a handball, because the short players kick the ball real quick and then all of a sudden it's a handball, and we know that Solomon Asante did that a lot last year. But Intoko's got his hands behind his back, and he just looks like he's moseying around, and then he just kind of sticks out his foot like a little jab step, and then Bruce just like feels it so hard, and then just goes down and sells it. And the meme that I sent you was like when it was, I guess it was done by maybe someone of Eighth Notch or of Seriously Loco, but it was like the New Mexico United Shield with Brucey like falling as the little diamond shape,
Mm-hmm.
and and I just thought it was like ridiculously creative. You know, it's probably our first like real crazy meme. And the other thing was Brucey like falling, and then he was like falling into a galaxy. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
I mean,
I,
go ahead.
I don't know because what like I can see why they're making those memes and stuff, but like they're playing against Phoenix today, and they're known as the diving team. So I really want to see how they're gonna handle that today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought that the little memes were funny. I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe, I don't know, like when you slow down things, it looks different. But I mean, dude, Brucey like with the sell for sure. Like, like if I'm trying to sell something, I'm going to Bruce, So I mean, I just thought it was good, and so I figured we had to talk about it. Hats off to Austin Young of Seriously Loco for that super funny set of illustration. And yeah, you're right. We'll see what they do today against Phoenix. We'll get into that here in a minute. And then just to kind of cap off what you're saying, United killed July as far as USL is concerned. I mean, let's talk about it. Like bees, 3 goals in 3 weeks, right? Of
Yeah.
course, I do have him out there as getting 15 goals in 15 weeks. He's on par. I did say postseason counted, but everyone wants me to keep it to 15. I don't care how he gets it. But Devin Sandoval, team of the week, goal of the week, right? Mizell, save of the week. Salim Mohammed, goal of the week, team of the week. Bees also team of the week twice, bench mentions. Moreno, team of the week, bench mentions as well. Again, Mike, I mean, July was ours.
Yeah, it really was, and I I just hope they keep playing like this because if they do, we're probably gonna be the team to beat in what are we like Group C? I think.
Group C, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be the team to beat in Group C, and hopefully we get farther into playoffs this season.
Well, I think the key is being able to control the destiny, right? Like, I mean, this was a word used a lot last season, is controlling a destiny, but you can't control your destiny when you have 5 matches left to play and you lose the majority of the matches, and then you're sitting with the scenario of, hey, we need Colorado Springs to lose, and we need to beat Las Vegas. Like, that's not controlling your destiny. That's like you're now at the mercy of other teams doing things. So we don't need to be there this year. To me, like controlling the destiny means like go out there, execute the plan. If it doesn't happen, hopefully you can make some decisions on the pitch, which is something Troy has said as well in the press conferences. They're making decisions on the pitch. So there are definitely game managers on the pitch. So then let's shift into Group C. As of today, currently New Mexico sits on top with 7 points. They're 2-1-1. El Paso sits at second place with 5 points. They are 1-1-2. Colorado Springs sits with 4 points, and then of course Real Monarch sits with 1 point. So matches today, and let's have some predictions here. I'll record them. So obviously we both have New Mexico up on OKC. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is your score prediction today?
I want a clean sheet, but my gut is telling me is gonna be a 2-1 win.
All right, Lisa's got 2-1. On the Chris Collins show, I did say 3-0, but considering the fact that we've been conceding goals, it's more likely to probably be a 3-1 win I'm going to go with. So I have updated my since public prediction. Okay, El Paso and Phoenix. El Paso lost to Phoenix the last 2 times they faced them. However, I want to know, who do you want to win in that match?
Jeez. um. Well, looking at it point wise, table wise, I want Phoenix to win
Okay.
and El Paso to take no points. But if I wasn't paying attention to the table, I don't like Phoenix. That's our biggest rival right there. So I would want El Paso to win, but since I am looking at table and points now, it would be better if it was a draw
Okay.
or if Phoenix won. I want to say 3-0 against El Paso.
So you got Phoenix winning 3-0 against El Paso?
Yes.
Ugh. Okay. Let me throw that here. Well, I had to go different. Um, we like just about attacked Twitter last week. Twitter was under attack. I'm sure if you can find a couple threads out there, but the troops were there. We torched them for a good 12 hours straight. It was crazy. I want Phoenix to lose because I really want their run on form to just be real shifty by the time we play them. Considering that they drew against Orange County and they lost to them as well, I would like for them to lose to El Paso, and I would like to set up our fans with the most lateral logic that there is that we beat El Paso and El Paso beat you. But, of course, I'm going to have to say for my prediction, I think El Paso um, actually carries out what they've been trying to do against us. They come out and they win 2-1 on Phoenix.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I want the El Paso, or why I want the El Paso win. Because I think that we have a good chance against El Paso to close out that series, and so I'm not necessarily worried about that win. But I'm thinking about the fact that if Phoenix does not make postseason, then that does definitely change out the outcome of the first of the quarterfinals because it's like Group A versus Group B. So if you don't have a Phoenix match in there, it kind of changes some things. And plus, again, like you said, they're our biggest rival, and it's great to kick them when they're down. So, all right. So then Colorado Springs and Real Monarch play today. Who do you have winning that match?
Oh man. I'm just gonna go with the 1-1 draw.
Hey, you know what? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If they can both lose, I understand. Um, between those two, honestly, here's the thing, right? Like I've watched Real Monarchs play. Real Monarchs kind of sit back a little bit. They kind of sit mid to defensive third, and that's how they play teams. Colorado Springs, I mean, based on kind of how we know that they come up and they press. Honestly, I think that Real Monarch might be able to stop them. I'm going to say I think Real Monarch get the win. I think it's 2-1 Real Monarch. And then, of course, obviously there's some discussion in the West. All right. So then now moving on to Group D as of today. And obviously our opponent today is in Group D, right? So in Group D as of right now, San Antonio leads the way with 7 points. OKC has 5 points. Austin has 3 points. Tulsa has 2 points. And RGV also has 2 points. Match predictions. San Antonio versus Austin. Who do you got?
Probably San Antonio. The 2-0 win.
Okay. For me, I'm going to say if you got a healthy Christian Pirano, I think that I would go with a 2-0 win as well.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of basing it off of was Christian Pirano.
Yeah, I mean he's looked good in the matches that he's been in. Okay, so then Tulsa versus RGV. What do you got?
A 0-0 draw.
Tulsa did look really good against OKC last week. We're about to get into that, or get into OKC some, but I'm gonna say probably 1-1 draw on that. But Tulsa did look good against them for the most part. I think that the game kind of went away when all the cards started getting handed out to Tulsa, and OKC is real good with that. So let's get into our OKC preview. Again, I want to highlight the fact that JJ Buck wrote a pretty excellent piece. If you can go check out um, Sports Animal as a website, I've linked it on the Seek and Strike Facebook as well as on the Twitterverse. JJ Buck wrote a piece. It's his Man on the Pitch series, and I think that he really did highlight OKC. He gave you the numbers, he gave you the players. So for some of those stats, definitely read that article. I definitely got to give some support to all the different writers and folks in our community. So definitely doing that. So let's get into this OKC preview. So New Mexico and OKC overall, we had a 1-1 draw in Albuquerque last season, and we had a 3-1 win in OKC. That was the match when Devin Sandoval just went off.
Yeah, I remember that. His bicycle kick goal, that was really, kind of great to see because I believe, that's a signature move right there.
Yeah, it definitely is. And if you remember, a lot of the conversation leading up into that match was Kavan wasn't scoring, Santi wasn't scoring, Sandoval, everyone wanted. There was like a witch party out there for Sandoval. Everyone wanted Sandoval to come off the bench, and Weehan was probably the only one who was kind of productive during that stint in time. So Sandoval turned up that match, and I think really kind of took some of the doubters out.
Yeah, it definitely did. And this season around, I see Sandoval is playing stronger because I know last season I would say that he was more of a super sub, like coming off of the bench. That really worked well for us. But now that he's starting, I feel like he's doing really, really well. And with him coming off the bench this season, won't help us at all.
Sandoval, and I've thought this a few times. He really does kind of remind me of his RSL days, like his MLS days. Like he looks faster, undoubtedly. Like I think he's got a different stature, kind of going into the matches. I mean, he's playing full 90s in some instances, and I think he looks good. Like I mean, honestly, I mean, again, like I think that whatever he and even Chris Weehan are doing, like they're coming out, in like a different sort of mentality. I mean, Weehan comes out, he looks like he's like postseason Weehan.
Yeah, I really like Weehan. I believe he's kind of an underrated player, and with him having 3 goals, 3 matches, he like you said, like I hope he keeps it up for this streak, 1 goal every match. But he's gonna be one of the players that I will be so upset if we lose him in the off season.
Well, USL needs to give the man team of the week, like not just on the bench. And I mean, furthermore, 3 goals in 3 matches. I know that there are other players that like racked up some in a match, but I want to hear about player of the month. I think that Weehan definitely, is getting robbed of some honors here. He should be like on the actual team of the week on some of those instances. So, to me, like we need to see more. I think we need to get the whole state of New Mexico to protest the voting. Seems to be working. So let's just, challenge it sometime and see what we can do. So then getting into this right now, both teams' current records, New Mexico's 2-1-1. Of course, all matches have been played on the road. OKC is 1-1-2. Alicia, the fact of the matter is that the boys are doing good on the road, and we don't really know when there's a home match. But I mean, hey, if they're doing well on the road, I mean, do you think that maybe Peter Trevisani should just go ahead and say, hey, that's it. We're just going to play all the games on the road this year?
That's hard because I know the players will get tired of being on the road so much, and they want to play here. They want to play at home because when we have our home field, it's more of an advantage to us, and it also like elevation and stuff like that. If we go and play in Colorado Springs, which I know we're going to again, the elevation kills us, and we just really need home games, even though they're doing well on the road. The way the schedule is set up now, and I hope it doesn't change, the fact that we have the last part of our schedule being home, it's really going to benefit us.
Yeah, I definitely see your point, and you are right about that. One interesting thing that came out of the press conference was that the guys look forward to the road trips. They look forward to being on the bus together, to the banter, probably watching videos together, like just like the massive man bonding that's happening on the bus. And I mean, that might be the one thing that has me thinking like, hey, just let them keep going out because they're getting to do road trips. I mean, what would it be like if they're here? So basically, I mean, yes, they'll get to be with their family, kind of do that sort of thing, and then they'll all show up casually and kind of get ready. But for some reason, I mean, I'm sure you've been on a couple of road trips with your friends, and it's you just there's just something about being out there on the road. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn, like I want them to have the home field, but or maybe we just put them on the bus and let them drive around New Mexico for an hour on the home matches, or they can just go drive somewhere and I don't know, show up in a town or something and then come back.
Yeah, maybe, because I know that they've been bonding more, and it seems like their chemistry on the field is a lot better with the more time they've been spending with each other.
That's what I'm saying, So hopefully, the bus ride was a good one. I think I didn't check the mileage, but if you remember, anything under 500 miles is a bus ride, and anything over 500 miles is a flight. I think they took the bus, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did. They posted pictures about
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so OKC, their coach is John Pasquarella. He was an assistant coach at Minnesota United last year. Ooh, right? Or in 2018. And last year as well, I believe as well. Players to look at: Frank Lopez. Okay, Frank Lopez. He was loaned to San Antonio FC last year from LA Galaxy. One of the big points for him is 8 goals in 14 matches. Frank Lopez definitely is dangerous. He can come in up top, or he can also play as a fullback as well. They hit up Fresno pretty well. They got Jaime Chavez from Fresno. He's one of their top studs. They got Aaron Baziljevic. I'm probably not saying that right. From Fresno as well, and then they got goalkeeper CJ Cochran from Fresno. He's currently got 14 saves with only 5 goals allowed this season, but that's about the same that Cody has as well. Just off the bat, what was your take at looking at the roster and noticing that they kind of hit up Fresno for some of their key pieces?
It was really interesting to see because I never thought they would go that way, since I know Fresno is long gone. They're not a team anymore. I personally didn't think, I know they were a strong team last season, but I didn't think somebody so far out in the Midwest was going to take them. I saw kind of, who I saw kind of taking them? San Diego Loyal, looking into them. That's who I saw. They're going to take most of the Fresno players.
Yeah, they got a couple, but I think they've since let go of, I think one was Curtis Lawal. And so then they also have couple fullbacks that we ought to know, Zachary Ellis Hayden and Kyle Highland. They're second and third on the team chances as well. And then, of course, they do have Cody Lorendi, who was one of the top goalkeepers last year for OKC. So what is your thought of a team like OKC having like two guys that can go behind the poles that are basically like both like number one style type goalkeepers?
It's definitely scary because if their main keeper, something were to happen where he would have to get subbed out, some people think of it, oh, it's like their second string, we got this. But now knowing that, he can play up to the first keeper's level, if not more, then that's when they kind of start getting nervous and the fans start getting nervous. So, it's definitely an advantage to have for OKC to have somewhat of a bench.
Well, I mean, to that fact, I do remember last year when we played Las Vegas Lights. I think it was the last match. Maybe was it the last? It was the last match, but I'm not sure if this happened in the last match. But they had a goalkeeper start, and through like a couple of instances, the goalkeeper went down, and they put in another goalkeeper in the match. And the goalkeeper that they put in was actually their number one. He was on the bench for the start of the match, and so they brought in their number one, and so it kind of. We thought we had them, but it was actually kind of a change in dynamic that they actually brought in their number one. So, I mean, when you have two guys like this, I mean, I think that, the positive goes to them, but, either way, our guys are taking shots. And one thing about this team to us is that, when I look at some of the USL stats, like we're in the middle of the stats when it comes to taking shots. We don't take a lot of shots, and we'll get into some of that. Did you get a chance to watch the last OKC match against RGV?
I watched bits and pieces of it, but I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
Okay. What are some of the things you kind of saw from when you watched it?
I saw that I saw they were kind of a pretty strong team. They, I don't know, because to me, they weren't as strong as El Paso, but like the potential is right there, and I have a feeling that they might bring out that potential against us, because it was like last season, like, oh, we're playing against New Mexico United, we're gonna bring it 110% on that field.
Right, it definitely changes. Some of the things I saw in the match that OKC played against RGV that I think are worth mentioning. OKC definitely does push up pretty high. They set it up that way. They have a lot of pace throughout their roster, so they're able to definitely set up in our defending half, and for the most part, because of their back line, again, having legs under them, they're able to transition back pretty quick. RGV did kind of sneak one in on them for the most part. So definitely pace. That's going to be a positive for OKC. The only thing that kind of sets them up, and I'm sure they probably worked on it between now and then, is like they didn't really bring up too many numbers. They play in a 4-2-3-1 as well. But I don't see that they don't really transition into like a 3-4-3 like New Mexico does. So something they're probably working on is how to get more numbers. Sending up Jaime Chavez, like they're playing a straight 4-2-3-1 on both sides. So look for that today. Will they bring up more numbers? Will they shift into a different formation? Will they come up in a 4-4-2? Like what will they come out in? That's what we need to look at. And again, like I said, they do get back on defense, and that's due to the fact that they're not bringing that many men up. So for us, and something that like kind of Weehan has mentioned like in the press conference this week, is that with El Paso, like our wingers weren't really able to really get in and have some action because of the way that their back line was set up. So in this instance, will we be able to catch OKC off guard because they're so high up on the pitch? Will it kind of look like Austin for us in that regard? And then also like again, this is going to give us opportunity maybe to set up on the counter um, as far as that goes, because again, like they're not tracking back as much. So those are just some things I saw. So according to that, I mean, what do you think New Mexico really needs to do in this match to be successful?
Um, I see that OKC, when they're attacking, they spread out. I know we were doing that, but this time we're gonna have to really focus on that, the more than clumping into the middle, but also watch the middle, because if they really studied that and they played to us, they might end up going more towards the center.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be prepared for both. But other than that, I feel like the way New Mexico just played against El Paso, they'll be fine against OKC.
Okay, nice. I mean, I think that I definitely agree with that. I wonder on like some of the player personnel that we bring. Like, will we have Mondo and Parks in the wings, or will we have Parks like kind of playing in the middle and then kind of like sending him out a little bit on the wing? So I wonder if Troy will have some trickery for this. We definitely do need to watch some of the offside that we've got. Again, because this is a team that has pace, they're able to set the offside trap really well. I think that, we did see a little bit of the speed that like Romeo had last week. He kind of came from middle pitch when we had went on a run. And so I'm hoping in this instance that we'll be able to see our wingers kind of have a little bit more fun in the match because, like you said, if they're focused on everything centrally, then they're probably going to be trying to really double Devin or Weehan, and it should create some things on the side. What do you think about our back line going into this? I mean, again, they hadn't really brought up any numbers. Maybe they adjust. Maybe that's there. But, I mean, what do you think about our back line going into this? I'm guessing we'll probably have Tete as well.
If we have Tete, that's what I've been wanting. I've been wanting to see him in the back line with Josh or Suggs on the left, and then Kaylin and Tete. And I mean, I don't know if we get Najem back, but I would like to have him back in the back line. And I feel like those four is going to be a really strong combination.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got a lot of depth back there. I haven't heard anything about Najim Hamilton or Schmidt. I think that was one question we didn't ask this week in the press conference was injury report. So, of course, we'll have to wait till prior to the match to see like what the most formal injury report is from the team. However, if we don't have Najim, I do like Yearwood back there. I could see Muhammad coming up and Tete stepping back into that spot. So I could definitely see that sort of combination. So as we're gonna now kind of shift into like our prediction for the match, I wanted to kind of toss out some numbers to you, just some team comparisons. I looked at USL and just kind of lined up our teams and wanted to kind of base these kind of facts out there before you gave your prediction. But so goal-wise, both teams have each scored 6 goals. So nothing telling there. We're both scoring the same amount of goals. When it comes to the attack, OKC edges us out. They have 21 shots on target. So obviously, again, like they're taking a few more shots. When it comes to the accuracy of shooting, OKC is at 58%. New Mexico's at 47%. But we both have the same conversion rate. We both are about 16, 17% when it comes to conversion. This was a number that I really kind of thought was interesting to me was assist. So the 6 OKC goals, there were five assists kind of dealt out in those. So again, that's at least like one other player in on some of the action. Now, again, only one player on their team has 2 goals and everyone else has one. But to me, like, I'm a little concerned that they have a little bit more action in on that, because if you take out the lone goal scorer with no assist, then that's just completely a goal out of the way. But if you have someone who's assisting, like they've got 5 different people or 5 different instances rather, then to me there's still someone who could have actually bagged that goal. So I found that interesting. Um, as far as defense goes, OKC has faced 20 shots. New Mexico has faced 11 shots. So then, of course, they've also taken more, or they've faced more. As far as tackles won, both teams are about the same with 27-28 tackles won. Now, successful passes, OKC does pass more. They do pass more than New Mexico. Uh, they So that, to me, one thing is that they're not a team that crosses, like I've told you earlier, but they are a team that passes more. Um, there are a lot of short, quick passes to each other. So really look for New Mexico to step in the line a little bit and try to disorient them. And then the last factor that you always kind of are concerned about is yellow cards. So OKC has 11 yellow cards, New Mexico has 6. So OKC definitely is a team that they let they get those cards, and in the last match, like, they were so susceptible to getting them. So to me, like, I think definitely our guys have to keep their composure. As you remember, last year we were a team that had a lot of cards.
Yeah,
So
I remember last season. Like, now, why is this player out? Oh, because they accumulated so many yellow cards, and it's like it was never ending for us when it came to the yellow cards.
right. So so based on some of those numbers, Alicia, I'm asking you now to give me your prediction for today's match.
I think I'm gonna keep it like I said with the 2-1 win with
Okay, okay.
United.
Just want to give you that last opportunity just in case you want to change it.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm just going to stick with it because I have a gut feeling it's going to be like that since we have conceded only one goal.
Yeah. Again, like, and I'm gonna stay with mine, but I just, with teams that are, with us still having a goals against of one, like, it's hard for me to kind of think that someone isn't going to get a goal. But I'll tell you what will change that. Like, if Cody registers a clean sheet here, and we start seeing clean sheets, I think it's going to be a little easier for us to kind of be able to predict that maybe, hey, the team can hold their own, or that there's possibilities of clean sheets happening in the score line, as well as, can the team open up? Can they, like you said, come out and just play like every team is Phoenix and really try to put some goals on them early? Then we'll be able to know. Now, we know Troy in the past has said that he prefers those 1 to 2 goal score lines with the team just setting in on defense, and that's great. But the fan in us wants to see like 4 goals and wants to see some spread. Especially if you're a Liverpool fan. I'm not, so it's cool. But anyway, so we don't know injury report. We're still waiting to hear about that, other than what we expect to be there, and that's kind of it. Where are you going to be watching the game?
Be watching it at home.
Yeah, of course, right? Like, I'll be at ESPN, just because uh, the drive from my place is a little bit over 30 minutes, and I need to be there 30 minutes after a match, so it's a little easier to just essentially be there already. Um, and it'll be kind of a packed house, so it'll be okay. Um, Gosh, I can't wait till we can like actually watch matches at the stadium, but definitely at least watch parties again, because there's just something to be said. Like, I can't cheer that loud in a building, so it's a little crazy. But anyways, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up? Anything that we may have left out, or final thoughts?
Um, kind of a touchy subject, but I know people want us to talk about it. It was about Manny Padilla leaving the team, and I feel like the club did a great decision on what decisions Manny made. Now, unfortunately, he made those decisions in his past, and they came to, you know, kind of bite him in the butt. It was karma, and I hate to say this, but he truly deserved being off the team and facing those consequences because what he did was not right. And even though he's like, I was a kid and this and that, it doesn't matter. You made that decision right then and there. It's just it's not right, and it's time that we do stand with the survivors. We don't say that, oh, maybe she was lying and this and that, because you don't know if they were lying. Only uh, the two people know what happened right then and there. So I want to give a huge shout out to New Mexico United and handling this in the the most correct way as possible as they could.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I mean, that was the best thing the club could do. You know, based on everything we read. I mean, people didn't take the right sort of steps back at the University of San Francisco, and so this makes sense for them to do that. Now, of course, he is not with the team at this point, being released from his contract, and I mean, I really haven't looked to see where he'll land. Um, but to me, at least the just punishment, has been rendered. You know what I mean? And again, like you said, I mean, stand with the survivors, play the victims. I mean, those are things that we've got to do. And I'm just, my biggest thing here was just to make sure that Alicia had a platform to be able to express herself. And as we're looking at so many folks who made comments on the New Mexico United page, there are a lot of folks that have experienced something like this, and our hearts go out definitely for all of you, for even putting that out there in the forum of our club fan base. And we definitely want to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. So,
Yep. So best of wishes to him, and I, what could I really say at this point? I really can't care for him. Like I thought he was a good person, but looks can be really deceiving.
yeah, that is definitely true.
So let's end this on a good note, and thank you guys for watching, and have a good match day. And you guys can find us on Twitter at Seek and Strike NM, I believe. I can't
That's right.
remember the tag.
Mm-hmm.
And also on Facebook, Seek and Strike Collective. And Chris, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at by Chris Walker, as well as Instagram, and yeah, and
All
Facebook.
right.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great match day, and we'll see you on the next one.
Right on. We'll see you guys. Thanks for joining us.